Bonjour mes amis, bienvenue. Hi friends, welcome back to another great lesson of the Language Tutor French series. Guys, today we have a great lesson for you. And the reason I say that is because we're going to learn ER verbs. Now, why are those so great? Well, ER verbs are the most commonly used verbs in the French language. And so by learning how to do ER verbs, you can learn as many ER verbs as you want and apply this same knowledge to the ones that you learn after this lesson. Now, in order to do ER verbs, I first want to just give you a list of ER verbs and what they mean. Now, this is not a terribly long list. It really just gets you started with a handful of them. And again, these are all over the internet. You can research ER verbs on the internet and find tons of them. All right, but this is going to be more about how to use them, okay? So let's get ready with our cahier, our notebook, a stylo, a pen, or a crayon, a pencil, and let's get our list of ER verbs, okay? First one is aimer, aimer, which means to like or love. The next one is espérer, espérer, which means to hope or wait for. Parler, which means to speak. Chercher, which means to look for. Compter, which means to count. Donner, which means to give. Écouter, which means to listen. Continuer, which means to continue. Nager, which means to swim. And manger, which means to eat. All right, that gives you a great list to start with. Now let's talk about how we use these in context. Now, we can't say that last one we learned, manger. We can't say je mange because when we put the ER on these verbs, they literally mean to do that. So that last one we wrote, manger literally means to eat. If I were going to say, I'm going to eat, I would literally say that, je vais manger. Manger, exactly like that because it means to eat. All right. Now, if we're going to say, I eat, like I said, we can't say je mange because that would mean I to eat, and it wouldn't make sense. So what we're going to do is change these a little bit. We're going to manipulate them a little so that they'll make sense with each one of these pronouns. Makes sense, right? We do this in English all the time. We take the verb to eat and we take off the to and we put an S on it for she and it says she eats, right? So we do this all the time. We're going to do the same thing. All right, so here's what we need to do. First of all, I'll put the chart up. This chart is a good visual organizer, as I've said many times, and we want to put the endings on this chart. Now, you might be saying, what are you talking about endings? Well, I'll explain that in a minute, don't worry. What we need to do is put the endings on it first. Now up here in the top left, we're going to put the ending E, okay? Just the ending E. And let's go ahead and put that on the bottom left also because the top left and the bottom left use the same ending. Now in the middle here on the left, we're going to put ES, ES. And on the top right, we're going to put ONS. And in the middle right, we're going to put EZ. And then at the bottom right, we're going to put ENT. Now, these are our endings. So this is what this means. Let's take je, first of all, the I form. And let's use the verb parler, to speak, parler. Now, what we have to do is take off the ER of any of these verbs. All right, so we have parler, manger, écouter, we take off that ER, okay? Now, once we have the ER off, we simply apply the ending to the end of the verb that goes with that pronoun, okay? So let's look at I speak, first of all. We have je, and then we have the verb parler. We take off the ER. That leaves us with PARL. Now, the ending I gave you for je is E. So we're going to put that E at the end of parle. All right? So that's how we do ER verbs. So we get je parle. Now, for the tu form, we're going to put an ES. So we take off the ER and we put an ES. And we get tu parles. Now, the same down at the bottom left, we're going to do the same thing for the je form. We're going to put an E on it. Now, that verb goes with all three of those pronouns. So we have il parle, elle parle, and on parle. All right, now let's go to the top right up there. Nous parlons. We take off the ER and put ONS. Nous parlons. Now, we could also say parlons, just by itself as a command, like let's talk, let's speak. Now, the middle right, we're going to put the ending EZ on it. We're going to say vous parlez, vous parlez. The bottom right, we're going to put the ENT, so we get il parle and elle parle. Now, let's try one more, manger. Let's go back to that verb, manger. All right, so we're going to take off the ER. That leaves us with MANG. And we put the ending E on it. So I eat is je mange, je mange. You eat, tu manges. The ES on there ending. Now, he, she, and one, we're going to put that E on it again. So il mange, elle mange, and on mange. Now, for the top right, we eat. This one adds an E back into it. So we get nous mangeons, nous mangeons. So that's a little exception for that one verb there. And you eat is vous mangez, vous mangez. And then on the bottom right, we get il mange and elle mange. All right. Now, guys, that's how we do ER verbs. Now, I want to explain something really quick. Sometimes people say, well, you're taking off the ER, but most of these have an E in them. Wouldn't it make sense to just say, I'm not going to take off the E? Well, that really doesn't apply 100% of the time. And when you do it that way, you have to remember a different change for every single one of these. You have to remember, oh, this one I'm going to take the E off and I'm going to add this one. And this one I'm going to take the E off and add this. And every one of your changes is something different. And so therefore, I teach it's easier just to go ahead and take off the ER and put the ending on there. Because if you know the endings, it's just a matter of just switching them out in your mind. It seems to be an easier approach, but you do whatever works best for you, right? That's how we best learn, is however we best personally learn. So I encourage you to do that. Well, that's it for today's lesson. I look forward to seeing you again on the Language Tutor French series. Au revoir. Friends, thanks for watching the Language Tutor. If you have a question for me, feel free to leave it in the comment section below the video. And please click subscribe and the notification bell so that you'll never miss any of our language lessons.